Bill Hurrelbrink. He's the face now of mornings on KCTV5. He landed in Vegas last night, and then he hit the blackjack table, and then he was going to the gentleman's club, and then he somehow rolled on the TV. That's how it went, right, Bill?
Exactly how it went. Straight out of there and straight on our TV. Not even put the suit on. Just right after it.
No sleep, just getting right after it. He's rolling on about a 15-hour bender right now, so nice job there, Bill. You look good on TV today. All right, so
I appreciate it.
How did it go getting in last night? When did you wake up? Because they're, 2 hours behind us, so what was the morning like for you?
So we got in we left Kansas City yesterday at 5:10 in the morning. So we got into Vegas time like at 8:30. So we flew to Phoenix and to Vegas. So we had all day of actually a day of work that we went out to gather some stories that we had on our show here this morning. One of them going to the Mob Museum here in Vegas, learning about the mob ties all over the country, not just here in Vegas, but New York, Chicago, Milwaukee, Kansas City, even down to Hot Springs, Arkansas, had a lot of these mob ties connections to it. And there's a lot of ties to Vegas from Kansas City on how Vegas used to skim money off the top, and it would wind up back in Kansas City mob bosses' pockets. So it was really cool. And then after that, just kind of you just try to get back and rest as much as you can, but it's so hard to rest knowing that your alarm is going off at 12:30 in the morning and you have to be on the air at 2:30 in the morning.
Is that right? So you woke up at 12:30 Vegas time?
Yeah, 12:30 Vegas time, which is, whatever, fourth, or I don't know what time it is in Kansas City. I've lost track so far.
It's Celebi, 2 hours, so it was 2:30. So what do you normally wake up when you're here in town?
Yeah, about 2:30. So It's not, I've been trying to stay on KC time just to try to keep in the same gear, But,
Wow. Okay. Now, that's interesting. The Kansas City mob history is one that I didn't really fully appreciate or understand until I got here. But it really appeared like it was an intermediary between Chicago and Vegas in many respects.
I think there's a lot more to it than I just kind of glazed over there. And also a big part of it as well was in the 1970s Super Bowl. It was the Chiefs and the Vikings going after it, and there was a lot of money being moved late, right before the Super Bowl. So Nick Savella, who was one of the Kansas City mobsters, had a club down off 5th and Troost called The Trap. He called in, being like, hey, what's going on? Why is all this action happening last minute? Well, what he didn't know is the FBI had wiretapped that club. So that was kind of the beginning of the end of the Kansas City mob, because the FBI found out all about the illegal sports betting that was happening down in the club.
Oh, that's great. Now, did you learn that from the museum yesterday?
I did learn that. I knew there was a connection between that Super Bowl and the mob, but they have a display about that there, but then also a lot about the skimming of the Tropicana that used to come back to Kansas City. But they do mention that club by name there in the museum here in Vegas. And the other cool thing about this museum, Pete, that I don't want to forget to tell you, is that they have a speakeasy and a distillery in the basement. So you can go get your learn on and then go get your drink on.
That is so Vegas, isn't it? I love that. All right. Now, Bill's bragging about all the work he's doing over there, but is there any time? I mean, what did the bosses say? Can you go play a little blackjack if you have some time this afternoon?
Oh, sure. Why not? I mean, it's everywhere here, right? You can't get off the plane without seeing a blackjack machine or a slot machine. So I'm sure at some point there will be a little bit of money wagered on a card game or two, but it'll just be short and sweet. I'm not much of a gambler. I like holding on to the money a little bit too much.
All right. Well, I know you're a K-State guy. You can place a future bet on the Wildcats winning the Big 12 next year or something like that. How's that sound?
I'm feeling pretty good about it after Avery Johnson's performance there in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
I would be too. He was money. All right. So what else do you have planned? It's only 7:30 in the morning there. You're off the air. You're done. So you got a long day ahead. What's next for you, Bill Hurrelbrink?
Yeah, so we'll anchor the noon coming up here in a few hours, and then we're going to go meet with Tech Nine is in town here, so we're going to go chat with him. Obviously, his Red Kingdom is a huge anthem for the Chiefs. Our Janae Hancock did a story on that you can see at KCTV5.com, but we're going to kind of talk to him about what his plans are while he's here in Vegas. If you remember last year, he was part of Shaq's party for the Super Bowl. He performed on stage with like Snoop Dogg and everything, so big A-list names who he was performing with. So we're going to go hang out with him for a little bit and see what he's up to. And also we're going to go out to a spot just a little bit to the south of the Strip there's a guy born and raised in Adrian, Missouri, joined the armed forces, and when he got out, moved to Vegas. And he's been really successful in a handful of businesses that he's invested in and started, one being the Richard Petty Racing Experience that they have out here at the Vegas Speedway, but they also have a Kansas Speedway. He also opened like this, it's a really cool go-kart track in Vegas. I say that, you like go-karts, but I'm like, these go-karts go 50, 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
And then also he says it's the only one in Vegas. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's a newer restaurant that he's got that's a cigar lounge, a bar, a restaurant, and slot machines all into one. So I was like, well, we'll come out and give it a shot. So we're going to go out and visit him and kind of hear his story here a little later on today.
That's pretty cool. Now, is this your first time in Vegas, Bill, for fun or for work?
Yes, sir. Very first time.
Wow. Okay, but Bill's a grown man. He's an adult. He's got kids. The whole thing. You got to keep an eye on Jared Kohler. These young guys go to Vegas for the first time and they get a little ahead of themselves.
He's doing just fine. I tell you what, he is one of the most talented producers, and he's organized and keeping everybody together. So, but we'll keep an eye on him just to make sure he doesn't slip up.
All right. Well, good deal there, Bill. That's going to be exciting, and we'd love to check in tomorrow if we have some time with you.
Yeah, sure thing. No problem. Just give me a call.
All right. Good work there. Bill Hurrelbrink on KCMO Talk Radio. I bring that up because I've been to Vegas once in my life. One of my best friend's bachelor parties, summer of 2015, almost 10 years ago now. And his brother was there, his younger brother. So I'm late 20s at that point, 27, 28. And his younger brother is just turned 21. Part of the reason the bachelor party was at this time in July was because he wanted his brother to be there, and his brother had just turned 21. And we were scheduled to be there Thursday to Sunday, something like that. And I think some were leaving Monday, some were leaving Sunday. I got the red eye back Saturday night. That was enough for me. And the first night, his youngest brother, who showed up with, I want to say he had $1,500 in cash on him, it was gone. End of night one. By 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I got woke. I was asleep. And, I like gambling. So we played a little craps, did the slots, a little blackjack. I like poker, so I played some poker. And, of course, the young kid just turned 21. No one was really in charge of keeping track of him. It's the bachelor's brother. So the bachelor's doing his thing. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. It was a big bachelor party, 15 guys. So someone needed to be his spy, to use a football analogy, and no one was this kid's spy.
I've never been to Vegas, but you got to pace yourself, I'm assuming.
Yes. So he makes this enormous mistake. No one's on top of the kid. He ends up gambling a ton. He loses that. Then he's down in the dumps. He starts drinking. He goes to a gentleman's club, and he blew through all his money, is the story. He went to a gentleman's club, and what happened is two girls grabbed him by the arms, they found the sucker in the room. They grab him by the arms. They take him to the back, and that was it. His cash was gone by 2 a.m.
I'm sure he had a great time, though, for a couple hours.
I don't think he did, because I think he thought his money was going further than it did. He was so naive and so stupid, and I feel bad because I would have been that guy. I was one of the few guys who was married, mildly responsible. I would have been his guide and his shadow. But I just figured somebody else was on it. So I did the whole thing of, someone else will take care of it. And I wish I would have done that because I would have happily done it. I was probably the best person to do it. But $1,500 later, we all lend him cash the rest of the weekend. So